welcome to the closing beat, everybody. Happy freaking Friday. How you doing today? Are you tired? I'm tired, man. That was a busy week. If you're an active person, you like following the markets, whatever, what a busy week, right? If you're tired, get some rest, right? Because next week is going to be even busier in terms of earnings and sort of China trade talk and all kinds of great stuff going on. But anyways, we call this the closing beat. It's just a quick show that we do about the stock market, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're financial advisors here at Jazz Wealth, and we just come to you every day sort of selfishly hoping that the day you need a retirement account or you want to move from wherever you're at now or just want to work with somebody different, well, you remember this pretty face and the logo everywhere and the fact that we're here helping you out every day. Keep us in mind at Jazz Wealth there. Hey, we're playing a game. It's called Guess the Dow. We got a winner today. Every Friday, we announce the winner who is the closest guessing where the Dow's going to close without going over. Our winner today, not a customer. We've only had one customer win, by the way. But our winner today is Albit, or Albit. The guess of 27189 even. 27189 was the guess. That was the closest guess without going over. Albit is the winner of our $100 gift card. We will be notifying you shortly and looking for your address so we can send you a gift card. If you want to play along and take your shot, every week we see where, you take your shot, where you think the Dow is going to close, and no strings attached. Anybody can vouch for us here that's played the game. Literally not one email has gone out in any form of marketing. We don't sell your information. We don't care to do anything with your information other than alert you if you won. And so that's it. You can play the game there if you'd like. Our class this week, which was last night, on the 401k and having company stock in there, and specifically how to handle that when you do rollovers and stuff. Awesome. A little bit more detailed than I thought we'd go. But if you're one of our customers, go in the dojo, check it out. And I want you to put that in the back of your head, because one day you're going to need that, and it's going to save you, potentially, it's going to save you a ton of money depending on how much you got there. All right, that's my homework to cover here for you. Let's talk about the markets. You got 51 points in the Dow, a lot of that coming towards the end of the session. S&P added 22, it was basically at highs and stayed at highs almost all day long. NASDAQ did the same exact thing. Really good, right? I mean, it was some touch and go earlier in the week as far as like the market giving you some days that really don't have the greatest odds of follow through, but all that was proven wrong here with good earnings. Now, this morning we had GDP numbers come out, a little bit better than expected, 2.1% versus 1.8%, and then you had the sort of roadshow of celebrations and tweets and everything, and President Trump still took his chance to go after the Fed, and even after hours here, I noticed he did the same thing to basically tell the Fed to lift your foot off, man. Go ahead and cut. Go ahead and cut the rates here on the 31st. That's when we're going to find out, July 31st. In the GDP numbers, business investment was one of the negative spots. That seems to have declined just a little bit. Consumer spending, no problem. That was the majority of the reason why we beat expectations. Consumer spending. You guys are still out there spending your dough. I seem to be the only one of the mindset that says, how about you save your dough? Because if the markets and the economy, everything gets weak here, or you get a little discount on stuff, don't you want to spend that dough? I don't know. It's up to you. Anyways, so you got that. Also in the news, we got the approval. T-Mobile's officially taken over Sprint. It's like $36 billion or some ridiculous amount like that. They got the all clear. Earlier in the day, we got a report from the New York Times that was going to be announced. Sure enough, someone at the New York Times knew, because that happened. Also, next week, we got the Chinese delegates going. They're probably already there. Chinese or U.S. going over to negotiate with China on the trade talk. And Larry Kudlow came out today, and the president's financial advisor there, that said, don't. He basically tried to slow things down and tell people to expect. Look, there's not going to be a deal Monday. There's not going to be a deal Tuesday. There's not going to be a deal Friday or a month later. It's going to take a little bit longer. And that hit the markets just a little bit, but we very quickly recovered after all of that. Let's take a look at the charts over here. This is in the dojo. If you're one of our customers, you have access to this as well. We're going to be improving on this rather soon. So you got the S&P 500, great day, right? New all-time highs. That's a record for today. The NASDAQ did the exact same thing. The uptrend continues in a nice, slow, steady, sort of summertime, choppy way, which is good. We'll take it. So we're at all-time highs here on the NASDAQ as well. The Dow hasn't been able to get there yet. It's almost working on it there. Little recovery towards the end of the day. Boeing was a bit of a weak spot today, although you did find buyers on that one. We talked about that being sort of overbought in the short term. Personally, I'd like to really see it have another solid day to the downside. You can see some support there if you're a technical trader. But it found a few buyers today, so Boeing didn't really have the kind of nasty days that it had, but still, all good there. And the Russell 2000, if I can go over there real quick, recovering all of yesterday. This is perfect. So 2 days ago, we go, yes, the Russell looks great. Yesterday, we go, okay, that's not so great, right? You don't like to see that. The good news is it didn't erase all of it. Those are the exact comments from yesterday. Today, the fact that it erased any negative energy from yesterday, I think is a positive, although keep in mind the current personality of the Russell. It is currently sort of back and forth, directionless, unsure about direction. This could be the first hint that we do continue in this mini little beginnings of an uptrend, but I wouldn't get your hopes up just yet. So I'm still skeptical in the short term. However, I'll take it. That's a win, and it's an aggressive win. So I'm pretty happy with that. All right, next week you got the, you get the Fed focus, right? What's today? Today's the 26th. Next Wednesday, we're going to find out about these rate cuts. I got an interesting stat for you today. And by the way, I don't share these stats with you so that you think I'm showing off. I just share them with you so you can make whatever decision you want to make with them. So I'm not telling you what to do. Currently, traders project a 78% probability. Fed fund futures rates project a 78% probability of the Fed cutting rates by a quarter point. The interesting stat of the day is, and I saw this on TV. This is not my stat. This came from a guy on CNBC. I just happened to be staring at the TV when he said it. He said, when there's a week left before they make their announcement, which there's currently less than a week. He said the Fed fund futures have never been wrong. Meaning, if it's over a 50% chance that they cut or raise rates, it has never been wrong when you look at the data within a 1 week period. Currently, we're at a 78% probability, which leans towards the cut side. And so we'll see. I just think it's kind of interesting. Somebody else shared a stat for once there. So very cool. Now, the question is, if I go over to the charts here, did we price it in? Meaning, has the market already responded to the fact that they think the Fed will cut rates? If so, do we get some selling pressure or a sell into the news kind of event? Apple's notorious for this. Apple makes an announcement. This stock sells off on the announcement, but it always tends to gain into the announcement. So that's the real question. Do we really have enough steam and sort of push to get us through people already buying the market in assumption of them cutting the rates? I think it's awesome that next week happens to be the busiest week of earnings and the week that they're going to report. So we could have a lot of positive push from the stock market just because of earnings. We'll see. All right, let's get moving here. We'll go through the sectors here. Financials, that's your biggest mover week over week. So if you want to know what was the best sort of performing area, financials, you can see it there just over the last 5-day period. I keep telling you, this is an undervalued area. It is gaining more and more attention from a sector rotation standpoint, not because people watch this show and they go out and they buy the XLF or whatever. It's because it's an undervalued area. There are other areas that people have made profits, and we call it sector rotation, just money sloshing into a different sector here. You can see it with the volume. You can see that pressure. And so that was your better performer for the week. It added 1% today, but for the week, it's your biggest mover. To the downside, your biggest mover is utilities. So if you had to guess, where do you think some of the money is coming from? It's utilities, right? All right. So that's your biggest and worst mover week over week. You got semiconductors, probably the best lesson of the week for you guys that have been with me all week. Moved a little extended in the short term, broke above some resistance there, and is already starting to pull back just because it's extended. Nothing's wrong. It's not a bad sector all of a sudden. It's just extended. We prefer, or I've been mentioning that I would prefer if it sort of holds in this area. I don't want to see it pull back like it did over here. Right? Because now we're above a resistance area. We want to convince people that they should be avoiding trying to short this sector. Anyways, that's the semiconductors. Some of the names in the area that we've been following this week, they're already pulling back. Right? Just taking a little bit of a break. Taiwan Semiconductors a little extended. You can look through all of them if you like. We kind of went over this, as they say, ad nauseum this week. So just a cool lesson about a sector or stock that gets extended and being able to understand that it's okay if it pulls back and not freak out. Communication services, we talked about this over the last few days. Really, this sector is Facebook and Alphabet. So you see, whoa, why did the sector have such a good day today? It's either Facebook or Alphabet. That's sort of the takeaway. It's not Facebook, right? We know Facebook already did its thing and had its earnings. That means it must be Alphabet and Google. So if you look in communication services, there we go, we found it. little quick, just being able to know what's in a sector, you very quickly can find what's going on. 10% gain here for Alphabet. Of course, they reported their earnings. Alphabet and Google, Alphabet, both classes of the shares make up 22% of this category. We said that yesterday. So just a great day. They reported earnings. They reported good revenue. And they reported a $25 billion share buyback. $25 billion, massive share buyback for Alphabet. Of course, very good for the stock price there in the short term. All right, also regional banks did well. I use the KRE. You can use really anything that you prefer to see the regional banks there. Just an easy ETF to remember and trying to break out of a wider downtrend. If you sneak over here, there's a tiny little arrow where we hide some tools. You can go grab this tool here. And if you're in the dojo, you can kind of play around if you like drawing lines and such. There you go. So the stock trying to break above this little downtrend. That's, whether you believe in this stuff or not, other people do. And other people respond to these things. So I don't ever point things out in a sense where I'm like, oh my gosh, look, it's this big downtrend. It's an amazing thing. I point it out because there are other people that are looking at this and they will be making decisions based on it. So you may want to know, just how all that works. Anyways. That's that one. Again, more sector rotation into the banks. Consumer staples here. You got really a broad-based sector rally. The sector gained 1.1% on the day. Coke, I'll point out Coke. This is a great example here of the pullbacks that we've been talking about. So Coke had their earnings. Then the next day, somebody asked here in the show, hey, why is it pulling back? That's scary. And we made the comment, it's okay. Let it pull back. It's totally fine. Got a little too far ahead of itself. Still a very strong and good stock. Today's a great example of that. Coke makes up about 11% of the XLP. And you got a nice little rally there. People just wanted to buy the dip. Put yourself in their shoes, by the way. If I zoom in here, if you missed the earnings announcement, right? Let's say you were out for the day and you wanted to buy Coke. You've been waiting for your opportunity to buy Coke. You come in and you go, bam, there it is. I missed it. So can I back up here a couple days? Yeah, go back a couple days. You look at that and you go, darn it, I missed it. Let me put that on a watch list. Just one that I check once a day or something like that, right? So think about investors doing that. Now, the stock pulls back. That's your opportunity. Aren't we all just waiting for a discount on stocks? We just want to feel like we got a good deal. Well, as the stock pulls back, there's the opportunity. Today, of course, with the sector being strong, you give good reason for people to want to buy a stock. So we talked about this on Wednesday as it was pulling back there. So very interesting, I thought. On the downside, not too much, just that little pullback in the semiconductors off here to the right. Home builders, a tiny little pullback. They're sort of struggling at highs there. Had one real good day. The uptrend's not over yet, but you could just tell struggling a little bit. And energy continuing to not want to play along. Sort of frustrating if you have been wanting the energy stocks to rally. So that's basically the overview of that. You got 77% of the S&P 500 over the 50-day moving average. That's a small uptick compared to yesterday. We were at 75. 37% of the S&P 500 is within 5% of hitting 52-week highs. There's no change there. Let's go to the charts. You got 41 new highs today, new 52-week highs. In the waste management category, you got Republic Services. Now that's an official breakout. Right? That's the kind of stamp you like to see on the charts by the bulls if you're interested in buying something like that. So I thought that was interesting. EXPE, that was a mighty, mighty reversal there. Gapped higher today, hit new 52-week highs, then sold off all the way back down here. You definitely don't like to see that. So that was one that stuck out. Intuit, little breakout there. If you're into these tight little base breakouts, it's not as impressive, but it is trying to get something done here. This is what I want to see the semiconductors do. Got a little too far ahead of itself, and rather than pull back too much, it just chops around sideways. That really worries the people who have been waiting for it to pull back to buy it. It means that they get impatient. It means that those people eventually just buy the stock for fear that it's not going to pull back. So that was interesting. And of course, T-Mobile hitting new 52-week highs, Sprint as well, I believe. That's all going to be on that merger. On the downside, you got these poor guys, man. I don't even really know what they do. I know what space they're in here, but I don't know this company no more than any other company, I guess. But Southwestern Energy, it's like the record. It's got to be some kind of record for the most times you've hit a 52-week low in a row with no bounce out of a downtrend. Yeah, I don't know. And then the other one, XEC, also just sort of fading away as well. Cabot Oil fell to new lows as well, also in the same type of space, getting a little extended there, but first day of the drop there. And then Netflix. Can I talk about this for a second? Netflix, I got some comments on this one. You guys didn't seem to think like I'm like showing off or something. So when Netflix was down 8 days, we gave you the stats on what was the performance a week later, a month later, 3 months later, etc. And I don't tell you that stuff like after the fact and go, oh, what a cool looking thing here. Had we known, we could have bought the stock and made money. I try to tell you everything ahead of time. My favorite saying is, I'll tell you ahead of time, not I told you so. And what good does it do if I tell you afterwards? I don't share these stats with you to show off. And if you think showing off is, finding stats that most people won't look up, all right, well then I'm showing off with that. Selfishly, I'm just here every day so you remember the face and the name. That's it. If you happen to hear a stat that I mention and you enjoy that and it makes you think that there's an opportunity or a reason to do something different, whatever it makes you think, that's all I'm doing. I'm just trying not to say, buy this or sell this. With that in mind, the stats were, when this stock, Netflix in particular, we shared this with you immediately before the stock bounced, when it's down 8 days, there's 5 other times in history that happened. The average return is 12% over a 1-week period. So, of course, if I tell you that ahead of time, that's great. It has now bounced 8%, almost 9% since after the 8 days there. First of all, I can't tell you to sell the stock, right? I can only say the average is about 12%, and aren't you kind of close enough? So there you go. It's been 4 days, and we have 8.5% or so. So those sort of things that I share with you, I don't know, like if I misunderstood comments and emails and things, but the whole idea is just to get you to look at something differently than everybody else, right? To prove to you that your opinion really doesn't matter when it comes to picking a stock. It's sort of the performance, the history. What will other people respond to a stock, and how will they respond based on what happens? That's it. That's this whole market is just made up of that. If you have an opinion that you think Netflix is going lower, as per some of the comments and emails I got, first of all, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you lost money. Second of all, it just doesn't matter, right? So time and time again, I'll try to share these stats with you so that you realize my opinion doesn't matter. If you ask me to buy or sell a stock, it doesn't matter what I think. I can't move a stock. I don't have that much money. So anyways, just wanted to share that with you. Interesting stat, 1 month later, the average gain is 16%, which is not that impressive, really, if you have to wait a month versus a week to make 12. And 3 months later, it is positive every single time after being down 8 days in a row. All right? Bottom line is, 12% is the average. You got about 8.5 or so if you played along. I would say if you're an active trader, that's good enough. Here's an interesting one. Beyond Meats. This was in the news a lot today. I had some fun with this one. It's sort of just stealing what I saw on Bloomberg. But I put my own stats to it. Here we go. So Beyond Meats hits all-time highs today, and everybody's saying that gives it about a $14.5 billion market cap. So that means that it is currently bigger on paper than 143 of the S&P 500, which is like 505 stocks. It's bigger than 143 other companies in the S&P 500, or 28.3%. Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper there. It is worth more at this very moment than Harley-Davidson. Not individually, it's worth more than Harley-Davidson, H&R Block, Whirlpool, Advanced Auto Parts, ConAgra Foods, which sells multiple types of foods, Take-Two Interactive, Kansas City Southern, a railroad, and it's bigger than American Airlines. I saw that on Bloomberg and then looked it up to make sure. Now, it's bigger than Harley-Davidson and Alaska Airlines combined, right? So you could buy Beyond Meats or you could buy Harley-Davidson and Alaska Airlines. Those two companies are still not bigger than Beyond Meats, which sells one plant-based meat. You could combine Macy's and TripAdvisor, and you would still have two companies smaller than Beyond Meats. Macy's has 130,000 employees. Beyond Meats has 257. Right? Isn't that incredible? American Airlines has 128,900 employees. This stock is priced as if there will never and can never be any competition ever, right? Be very, very careful. I get it. It's an amazing runner. It's done great. But this stock is currently priced as if they are the only ones that will ever be able to offer this, and they will always be able to offer it at a ridiculous profit margin. Careful. There's Impossible Burgers. I know they're having some struggles over there. You got Impossible Meats. You've got Tyson Foods. I don't know if they've announced it yet. I'm not saying how I know that, but Tyson Foods is, they're going to do their own thing, and they already are kind of in that space. They've been working on that. There are easily a dozen other competitors, and that's if, right, they never compete. So please be very careful there. Just thought I'd share that little bit of information with you today. Amazon was lower today, one of the tech stocks that moved lower. Not too bad, down 1.5% there. Starbucks moved, oops, I'm going to mess it up. Now I'm all fired up. Starbucks hit new highs today. Very nice move. You zoom out here, you go year to date or zoom out for the year. Just a monster. Boeing sold off. We already pointed that out. They found some buyers there down here, not buyers of the company, but buyers of the stock. Twitter hit new highs there as well. Great move for that one. It was up over 10% at one point today. Beat on earnings, beat on revenue, and 14% higher daily active usage. And then 3M, I saw you got, a little bit of a midday decline. What's going on with 3M? They have announced that they have started an investigation on themselves for a whole bunch of interesting things, and they notified everybody. They just sort of wanted to put it out there ahead of time. They're going to get to the bottom of that. Smart, because take a 2% hit versus take a bigger hit and make people think you're a bad company. They said they want to just figure it out. And AbbVie, so AbbVie got a little pop today off those lows on earnings. They beat on earnings, beat on revenue, raised their guidance, did everything possible that they could. They talked about the Allergan thing being very successful and, of course, very promising, I should say. And still, nothing, man. They couldn't get that stock higher. Speaking of Alaska Airlines a minute ago, Alaska Airlines, 1.5% there. Beat on earnings. Revenues were good. What else? Yeah, I'll take your questions now if you have any, and then maybe we'll just move on here. We'll see what happens. Coke paying out the dividend. You like that dividend? Not bad when you get a little performance there. I remember a while back, you guys think I don't remember these comments, but a while back I mentioned Coke and how we own it. I mean, of course, we own it in our dividend portfolio. And there was a comment about someone saying, why would you want a no-growth stock? Well, I get you see the dividend, but also I'm not complaining about the growth either. Yep. Geez. Cool. Meat alternatives have been around for decades. What makes Beyond Meats an Impossible Burger? From what I understand, the taste. From what I understand, I haven't had one. I've been to, just fortunate enough to have traveled a little bit lately. I've been to numerous restaurants where they have Beyond Meats as an option, and I've been wanting to try it. I've been no less than a dozen restaurants in the last month and a half, 2 months maybe, and not one of them had the product available to try. So the demand must be there. Interesting. Starbucks caught you off guard, currently holding a few put options to expire next Friday, you're hoping for a big drop too, very quick one. You need it to happen quickly too, right? If you're at 98, you need like a Monday, Tuesday drop and then stop. An AI-powered lawnmower, they actually have that. There's a golf course by my house where when it's about sundown, it's like this little army of robot lawnmower. They're big, but they're like this army of robot lawnmower things, and they all leave, and then they it's creepy, but they all leave and they go and spread out, and they all go mow the little greens, and I don't know what they do, but they're all automated. If the market price is in a rate cut, we don't get a rate cut. Does the market go down? I think it's very negative for the market. I'll take JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs' opinion on that one. They've studied that more than I have, and they are very negative on the market if there is no rate cut, which just is a fancy way of them telling you, we're going to go ahead and take some profits too if there is no rate cut. Are there separate bills for taxes, unrealized gains, and adding fees per transaction in an entire retirement account, or is it all the same trying to get? Are there separate bills for, adding the on the Democrat side, what they're trying to do with so nothing's official yet. No, there's nothing separate about it. They want to tax the transaction. Doesn't matter what type of account it is. As of now, I mean, that could change. I'm just saying what I read. And that bill's been around for a while. It hasn't really made any progress. I believe it's been around since I think it was 2007, 2008. Yeah. Is Howard Schultz still running for president? You wouldn't know it, right? Supposedly he is, but you wouldn't know it. Guy's having a hard time getting any press. Dustin, how will the Sprint T-Mobile merger affect the cell tower market? I have no idea. I'll be honest with you. I know those guys have done well. That's in that REIT category. If you like these, the cell tower REITs in there, it doesn't change the size of the demand, right? It doesn't change the demand. It doesn't change anything. It's just one company absorbing the other, right? So we're not somehow magically having more business for these towers, or there's not all of a sudden a need for more towers. It's basically just you have it'd be like if I bought another financial advisor. You had some customers, just bring them over here. It doesn't mean that there are suddenly more customers in the market. It just means I'm absorbing some of your customers. So, and also Dish is going to get part of this business as well. I didn't get to read into all of it, but it wasn't just cut and dry where T-Mobile got to just grab Sprint. They have to include Dish on it to essentially create a fourth major provider. It's interesting. You got passed on a covered call on a stock you were trying to lower your basis. Do you up and out or just take the profit? You're talking about rolling up and out or just take the profit and find a new pony. Nothing wrong with taking the profit. I 100% take the profit, especially if you have to pay for assignment. You shouldn't have to pay for that. Yep. All right, so as far as earnings next week, it's very slow to start. You got a lot of energy names reporting earlier in the week, and then it is like a hockey stick. Starting Tuesday, Wednesday, it's just going to be about as busy as you can be. So I hope you get some rest, and we'll take it from there. If I missed your question, we can maybe I could try again here. Have I heard of SMSI? No, I don't look at those. I don't look at those sort of lower. Can I even pull it up? I can't if I could type it, right? I can't seem to no, I haven't even really looked at it, to be honest with you. What was it? SMSI. I don't even get it. Oh, yeah, I do. I've been extra I there. Small, like dollar stocks like this, the lower volume, they're tricky. I hope you own it. You know, that'd be cool if you own it long term. Yeah. Very nice. How about, Apple earnings, yeah. Oh, Wynn. Why does nobody talk about Wynn? Give me a reason to. Wynn Resorts is up big time. I don't see that. Let me see here. Up off the lows from June. Yeah, it's having a nice recovery. Slow and steady. Las Vegas Sands, did I go over that one? They reported their earnings the other day. A little bit of a drop there. I don't think Wynn is gone yet. Yep. I don't know. I can't comment if like Dish will increase in the long run. I don't actually know enough about that deal, to be honest with you. I saw that they have to include them in part of the deal. The specifics of it, I don't have, so I couldn't make any assumption there. Why do most financial news sources stay quiet on mid caps? A lot of small caps as well. Why do they? I don't know, more headline news, bigger numbers running around. I don't know. Remember, at the end of the day, their job is to get your attention. It was really funny. The other day, remember when the Dow was down, but the other S&P and the NASDAQ were up? On CNBC, they left the Dow in red. Normally they go Dow, and then a couple minutes later, or a couple seconds later, it goes S&P, and then it flips again, and it goes NASDAQ, and sometimes the Russell. So anyways, the Dow was the only one in the red by like 12 points, and they left it in the red. They wouldn't change it, so it just stuck there all day. That's not by an error, right? That's because it gets you to stare at it and you go, oh, and you look and you watch and you listen to what they say. Yep. Do you think the market is already priced in with good news? What good news? The good news, as long as that continues, then that's a difficult argument to make. If you're assuming some kind of good news, then the question will be, what is the good news that the markets could price in? If you're hoping for the rate cut thing, that's the question. We talked about that earlier. I'm not too sure on that one, but we'll see. Hey, anyways, I think I'll wrap it up there. We got a busy week next week, so be ready. Pay attention. We'll be here. I appreciate you watching in the meantime. Have a great weekend. Stay cool and stay dry if you're in one of these rainy areas like I am. See ya.
Hey, wait! Before you go watch one of our other great videos, have you had a chance to see our new Fin Tips videos? They focus on one topic at a time, covering investing, personal finance, and anything that can quickly help you with your dough. Best of all, we'll keep it real short, because we know time is money.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.